Good morning, basement dwellers. Good morning, silver lovers. Hey, let's talk about what's happening right now with the dollar, and that will have a major impact on the price of silver and gold as we head into the coming months, quarters, and years. But have you noticed, like, you either had people saying the dollar's toast, the dollar's done, the BRICS gold currency, all these fantastic predictions like tomorrow we're going to wake up and the dollar's going to be gone. But then on the other side of the coin, you have the people that are saying, no, you're crazy. The dollar's not going anywhere. The dollar's the world's reserve. There's like two like extreme factions when it comes to the dollar. But here's what I want to throw out. And I put together some groundbreaking research that I'm going to share with you. Yes, and you are the most important part of this live stream video, right? The viewer, you. Okay, so thank you for being here. Please give this a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you want a piece of content every single day, because in today's video, I am going to tell you about why, if we can be just in the middle between those two warring factions, the people that say the dollar is done, we're going to wake up tomorrow and your dollars are going to be worthless. These paper, I'm not very fond of them, but they're going to be worthless. And then you have the other people that say, no, the dollar is not going anywhere. We can land somewhere in the middle. And I have some great news for you. Be okay with the dollar. But let's start. And by the way, in about 10 minutes, we are going to be joined by the one and only Coin Shop Chris. Yes, he's back in the basement, and we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. What's going on at the coin shop, some great price comparisons, all kinds of. It's going to be a big show today, guys. So thank you. Okay. I know I already said thank you, but thank you again. You are YouTube. You are the basement. Without you, this is not possible. It is a big honor that you're here, but let's start by talking about who's the biggest here. Hold on here. Okay. The biggest institutional investment company in the world, BlackRock. Okay. BlackRock. They put the word institution in institutional investor. And when they put out a warning, their CEO, Larry Fink, put out a harsh warning about what's going on right now. That's going to set the stage for what we're going to talk about with this dollar collapse and how it will impact you, right? It's going to impact your life and impact the value of your silver and gold. So BRICS, BlackRock issues economic warning to G7 alliance. And if we go down here, it says, as the BRICS continue its growth plan, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, again, guys, BlackRock it's like the biggest financial firm in the world. They again, I'll repeat it. They put institution in the term institutional investor, and their CEO issued a stern economic warning to the G7 countries. That would be the United States, England, like the big Western countries. Fink took to the Financial Times, and I read this article, and this is all true, to pen a piece urging the grouping to reevaluate its infrastructure amid a looming debt crisis by 2030. Let's just talk about a couple of the main points that he made. This was shocking to me. The BlackRock head, Larry Fink, noted that the 7 nations in the G7 group, account for 61% of the planet's public debt. We own 61. Congratulations, right? Almost 2/3 of the world's public debt. Moreover, he stated that the economic future of the world's democracy depends on its ability to decrease that figure over just the next several years. It's not just Larry Fink. It's Ray Dalio, right, who's founded Bridgewater Capital. He is one of the most respected people in the financial services industry. It's Jeffrey Gundlach from Double Line, right, the bond king. Everyone. It's even our old friend Jerome Powell, who's sounding the alarm. Down here, he says the U.S. and the U.K. and their allies are staring down the same growth dilemma. Fink said debt burdens have become so large that traditional fiscal policies can no longer tame them. Guys, we are on a train track heading towards a bridge that has collapsed, right? How many more turns can we make it around till we hit that cliff, till the train runs off the cliff? By 2030, that the U.S. government must pay out mandatory spending plus interest on debt will will permanently exceed what it takes in tax revenue. We are in a debt spiral. Fink's statement clearly shows that the state of the debt issue is one that can no longer be ignored. Even if discretionary spending went to zero, the country would still run a deficit. He added, additionally, he said the traditional spending cuts or tax increases wouldn't be enough to save the debt crisis. That isn't just an American issue, Fink ensures. It's true for most G7 nations. While the alliance accounts for, this is interesting, 45%, we only account for 45% of the global GDP. The figure is losing ground because the other countries are growing. Specifically, it's losing ground to the BRICS contingent. But perhaps the most harrowing of the statistics Fink shares is that the G7 accounts, this is shocking, the G7 nations only account for 11% of the global workforce. Okay, guys, so we've got Larry Fink, right, the CEO of the world's biggest institutional investment firm, sounding the alarm. We have Ray Dalio sounding the alarm. We have Jerome Powell sounding the alarm. He said it, like the government has to get its act together. We have Jeffrey Gundlach, the bond king, sounding the alarm. We are sounding the alarm, but nobody's listening. So when we think about the dollar, right, remember, the dollar's going to collapse. Now, you know, right? Because if you measure the value of your dollars in gold and silver, when the dollar collapses, the value as measured of gold and silver in dollars will go up, okay? Will go up and up and up. But it's not so much the value of the gold and silver going up, it's the value of the dollars, the yen, the euro going down, 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 down. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about, this is groundbreaking research that I put together for you. This will show that we're going to take a look at the dollar. Everybody's saying, oh, the dollar's done, the dollar's toast. And I may even be guilty of that in some ways, right? But it's, you know, there's these two extreme camps, either people that say, oh, the dollar isn't going anywhere, or the people that say the dollar is toast. Here's what I'm gonna propose to you is that we look somewhere in the middle, because I'm telling you, that's the reality. Look, we've talked about this, basement dwellers. You're smart, right? You know, things are rarely black or white. It's like a divorce. When people get divorced, it's not always just one person's fault. There's a middle ground, especially when we're dealing with a situation like the US dollar, where we likely stand. But what does that middle ground spell for the real value of silver and gold? And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that right now. We're going to be joined by our friend Coin Shop Chris, who's going to follow along with us. Hold on here. Coin Shop Chris, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ron.
Hey, welcome back to the basement, Coin Shop Chris. Everybody's really happy to see you today. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to be back in the basement, Ron.
Yeah. Well, we're talking today, Chris, about the U.S. dollar. Do you agree? It seems like people are either in this camp where the dollar's doomed, the dollar, you know, we're going to wake up tomorrow and the dollars are going to be worthless, or you have the other camp where people say, no, the dollar's the world's reserve currency, always has been and always will be. Do you see that as you're kind of observing what's happening?
Yeah, Ron, I work in the coin shop, and, I think a lot of people who stack precious metals are kind of in that camp for the most part. Not everybody, I would say, but, people a little bit more again. And, the sales of the past couple weeks have been kind of flat, but it's not as flat as I thought they were going to be with the higher prices. Going into the higher prices for a minute, people thinking they're going to wait for a dip. Well, I don't think we're going to see much of a dip, but we will get more into that later on.
I'm going to buy more silver when it hits $22 an ounce, Chris. That's what I'm waiting for.
You're going to be waiting for a long time, my friend.
I hope so. Because I already have plenty of silver. Like I've talked about exhaustively. Like if the price, and I don't think it will either, but if it does, I'll be backing up the truck. I think a lot of our viewers out there will be backing up the truck as well. And what that'll mean is that, number one, premiums will shoot up. and number two, the price will eventually shoot up as well. I think there's a lot of support in the silver price if the price does dip down even into the 25. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if it gets to the $25 range, which again, I'm hoping it doesn't, but if it does this summer, I'll be back in the truck up. No doubt about it.
Well, I'm going to throw out a prediction for you, for your audience right now, Ron.
Okay.
I believe silver will trade this summer between 28 and 40. Not saying it's going to go to 40. It's got potential to go to 40. Gold, I believe, will trade between 22.75 and 25.15. That is my prediction for the summer. If we can hold somewhere in between those numbers, we've done really well for the summer months.
Yeah, if we survive the summer, I've got a chart here I'll pull up real quick. This is from our friend Bald Guy Money. And my viewers have seen this exhaustively, but you may not have, Chris. This shows since, 1975 through 2020, the monthly average returns on gold down there at the bottom. And you can see that May, June, July are typically low return months. But boy, when you head into August and September, things really take off,
Well, look what happened back in 2008, when the financial crisis, silver and gold, platinum started to rise.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting to the same setup. I'll tell this little story, Ron. When we were back in 2009, I guess it was, and silver started to go up. And I said to a couple of, you're going to put me on the timer, everybody. That's all right. I went to a couple coin shows, and, I got to know the deal was pretty good up in Maine there. and I said silver's going to $50 an ounce, and they all look at me like I had three heads.
Yeah.
Well, I said, well, take my phone number down and call me when it happens. Well, it took a couple years, but I wish I had a recording of this, because I had about 4 or 5 phone calls from dealers saying, how do I know? Well, I didn't know. You got to look at what's going on out there with the precious metals at all times.
Yeah.
And I tell you, we're in the same setup as 2011 right now.
Yeah. Coin Shop Chris definitely has crystal balls. There's no doubt about it. And I know there's nobody out there that follows silver and gold, for that matter, and platinum as closely as you do. And, we can look at all kinds of fancy charts. We can look at all kinds of different fundamental issues and datas, but we have to kind of aggregate all of it into our own heads, right? Our own little supercomputers, and go with our gut feeling. And yeah, I would agree with you, Chris. I think my gut feeling is we're going to struggle through the summer, right now, a little bit of a struggle, but that I really feel like September time frame, because of a number of different factors coming together, that we could see significantly higher prices for silver and gold, for that matter, as well. No doubt.
Well, absolutely. I believe we're going to have to see interest rates cuts in September. I'm going to put a 95% chance on it right now. Now, that could change, and I will come back and tell you what I think later on. But right now, I think we're going to see at least a 95% chance we will see interest rates cut. And when that happens, the metals will take off.
Yeah. And when silver gets above $34, that's going to be the hard part, is getting up to $33, $34 for silver in particular. But from 34 to 50 is going to be much easier than from 29 to 34. Absolutely. People's heads are going to be spinning. All three of your heads, Chris, will be spinning at once. When you see how fast silver goes from 34 to 44, 34 to 50, whatever the case may be, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a definite, I think, surprise and shock to a lot of people. And it's going to pull a lot of new investors into the precious metal sector, because there just aren't many people up in that $40 range who are looking to sell their silver. There's just going to be a lot more buyers. That's my prediction.
Well, then this is the debate too. I mean, there's not a lot of history above $30. There's not a lot of charting history above that price. We had a couple ups and downs from that point, but over 30, we don't have a lot of charting to really find out how high this could go.
No, you're you're absolutely right, because I'm seeing if I could pull a chart up here. What we can just say this. The reality is that silver's only been above $30 for very, very short periods of time, right? And I would imagine,
Right.
and I don't have it, you know what I mean? I mean, they were spikes. So if we build up into that range this time a little more slowly, although I just said I thought it would happen quickly, it could be a different environment altogether. Absolutely,
Exactly. And
absolutely.
another point I want to tell your viewers is, when people come in the shop and they don't have, there's a lot of people are hurting out there. I will tell you that they're trying to sell, maybe buy a little less. And I say, I'm not giving no financial advice here because we can't, Ron. But when you're out there buying stuff, either at the grocery store, at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, take a snapshot of your current 90% silver prices. And where you find that, just type in Google silver calculator charts, and they will tell you what a silver dime will melt for, a silver quarter melt for, a $50, and compare that to silver instead of using fiat currency, saying, is this worth a silver quarter? Is this worth a silver dime? And I tell you what, you probably will put some of those products back on the shelf and take that fiat and go buy some more silver.
Yeah.
That is, it really saves money. I mean, really, it saves me money about $15, $20 a week sometimes, if not more, because there's stuff that I like to get at the grocery store, like my ding dongs on. And, sometimes I have to put those things back because they're $5, $6 a bucks now. Is that worth a silver quarter? Really?
No. So, Chris, as we're talking to our viewer right now, right? That's me and you speaking, but there's a bunch of there's one person, right? The bunch of individuals that are joining us right now. Likely this viewer, this basement dweller, right, is a silver investor, a gold investor, maybe a precious metal mining stock investor. One of the biggest stories out there right now is the demise of the US dollar. Everybody's talking about the BRICS and again, there's like two camps, right? There's the extreme, the dollar is going to be, we're going to wake up Monday and the dollar is going to be worthless camp. And then the other camp, which is, no, you're crazy. The dollar's not going anywhere. But what I would like to say to our viewer is this, that there is some middle ground. And I put together this chart. Do you mind if we go through this chart? Because I think this will explain to people pretty clearly what is going on out there. And by the way, Tara, thank you for that awesome super chat. Super appreciated. Really generous, and thank you so much. But I call this the TSF, okay? We're talking about de-dollarization. And I think what everybody misses is that it's going on three different levels, right? The dollar is being affected on three different levels. The dollar is losing value on three different levels. In the TSF, and that's beneficial. That's what I have in blue to silver and gold. At the end of the day, it's absolutely beneficial that this is. Okay, thank you, Susie. Susie's speaking to me through the walkie-talkie there. Beneficial, but the dollar is doomed, or the dollar is king. That seems to be the two camps. So if we look at it on three levels, Chris, and I want you to help me here and tell me if this makes sense. And I want our viewer to help me here and tell me if this makes sense, because this is a Ron's Basement exclusive. So bear that in mind. But the first level is the transactional level, the trade level, right? Everybody just says, oh, the dollar, de-dollarization, the dollar's well, the dollar is still king and likely will be for a while for trade purposes, okay, between countries. Although more and more countries, including the BRICS, are moving away from the dollar and settling trade in their native currencies. And I say that's like you, okay, or me, Chris, that we still use dollars from our checking account to trade, right? When we go to the grocery store, when we go to the gas station, when we go to the movie theater, whatever, we're not using silver. So on a worldwide basis, as we look at the dollar, I think it will continue to be used for trade, although I'll throw this in, that level is diminishing, right? But there's really still nothing out there. Now the Chinese and the Saudis and all these BRICS countries are starting to do transactions. So it's important also to realize that at least what the evidence shows us, we're just trying to be completely objective here, is that on a trade basis, the dollar is king, although that is beginning to erode, and that will hurt the real value of the dollar. But then if we go to the next level, right, because it's TSF, and that is as a store of value, as a savings or a reserve, okay? This is where the impact, I think, is even greater when it comes to de-dollarizations. Many countries are already moving away from the dollar as a reserve asset or a store of value, right? They're selling U.S. treasuries. We know that. Japan, China, everybody's selling treasuries. And what are they doing? They're buying more gold. Why? Because countries fear the dollar, number one, losing its value, and number two, weaponization with sanctions or seizure, right? That the U.S. can just take those dollars away. And I say, in parentheses, on a personal level, for you and for me and for our viewers, that's like you not wanting to store your long-term value in a bank savings account, right? You would rather save that value in silver and gold. And that's exactly what countries are doing. Like, they'll use the dollar for transactions, but then when there's excess money, they want to convert that into gold, right? Which is what a lot of our viewers do. It's the same thing. It's like, well, I got to use dollars to pay my electric bill, so I have to have a checking account, but I'm not going to store a bunch of dollars in a savings account for the next, they, just like you and I, these countries look out over the next 10 years and they're like, I don't feel comfortable with where the dollar's going. Does that make sense, Chris?
That makes sense, Ron. With what is it? OPEC, now accepting the Chinese yuan for their oil, and what's going to happen with these dollars? They're coming back home. They're going to hit our shores back home, and that's going to turn into hyperinflation.
Yeah.
And food prices are going to go up. Everything we buy, your light bill, your mortgage, if you have a what's that rate called? A balloon rate, where it just advances with the rates. Everything's going to go up. And what else is going to go up with it? Silver. It's not the silver's going to go up. It's your dollar is getting weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yes, exactly. And that's a key fundamental thing for our viewers, our basement dwellers, to understand. It's not necessarily, we always like to think, oh, silver, and I'm guilty of it, right? Oh, silver's going up, or oh, gold. I was said it to somebody that, oh, the price of silver's up at the neighborhood pool. I'm like, they were asking about something. Yeah, the price of silver is up. It's not so much that the price of silver is up; it's that the value of the dollar is down, and that leads into the third factor, right? We have the transactional side of the dollar, you have the savings component of the dollar, but underpinning it all is the fundamental, what I would call almost guaranteed failure of the dollar at some point, right? And that's because we have massive debt levels. That's because we have the situation, like as I let off this live stream video with Larry Fink from BlackRock, pointing out that we're kind of doomed. We're in a debt spiral right now, right? We have massive debt levels, reckless spending by the government, and that will continue to erode the real value of the U.S. dollar. Gunlock and Ray Dalio bring it up. All three of these factors, right? On the transactional side, that's probably still the strongest, but that's experiencing erosion, right? The use of the dollar for transactions amongst the BRICS countries, for instance, that is really happening. That these countries are beginning to move away from the dollar. And then you have the savings component of the store of value. That's definitely happening. Countries are selling their treasuries, moving away. And then at the same time, you have this third factor, the fundamentals. And we know there's like no arguing the fact that the fundamentals underlying the dollar aren't looking real good, right? And those kind of feed into the other two factors as well. It's just not a good situation. Am I being negative? I don't want to be too negative.
No, you're not being negative. You're telling the facts, Ron.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it. We all see it. Every time we go to the grocery store, something else we buy has gone up and up and up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting sickening. It's hurting people, and people are having a hard time just putting food on the table. Never mind buying silver, gold, or platinum. I mean, it's, I have a young female that comes in on a couple, 3 times a week sometimes. She works at a restaurant. She works on tips. She gets a little bit of money. She makes a bit more than the average minimum wage for her job too. Her actual job actually pays her pretty good. But she comes in. It's okay to go walk into a coin shop or go online and buy a few ounces. Even you go on Pinbacks and buy it from Pinbacks, Ron sponsor. They have great prices. It's always to place a smaller order. Just get what you can. Don't overbuy because you don't want to be caught selling in 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
I mean, pay yourself first. Pay your bills. You got any little extra money left over? Just get what you can, save it up, and get what you can later.
Yep.
And cost average. Don't worry about the price. I cannot stress this enough, Ron. I see this every single day. People come in. They said, Chris, I should have listened to you when silver was $21 an ounce. I thought I was going to 17. Look at it now. We're at almost 30 again now, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope people can understand what I'm trying to say is cost average. Don't, if you think silver's going to go to $100, $200 an ounce, it's $3 or $4 an ounce you're going to save now, going to pay off later. Heck no. Cost average now.
Yeah, you and I have always recommended to our viewers to dollar cost average, right? Like, and I did that over the years. I'm not buying as much as I used to because I just have enough, right? And it's stored at an offsite location. But nonetheless, if you are in buy mode or you are acquiring metal, do it once every 6 months. Do it once every 3 months. Do it once a week. Do it whatever. But don't just take everything. And we're not giving financial advice, but you're taking risk if you take everything at one point and just dump it into silver or dump it into gold. You have to recognize that unless you spread it out over a period of time, hey, it could work out great, right? If by December we're sitting here with $45 silver, people would be really happy. But the prices go up and down. Silver is a very volatile metal, no doubt about it.
Yeah, exactly. And what I want to say, I don't know if you want to do the Pinbacks deal now. I found for everybody.
I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to say thank you to our friend Ron McAdams. Look at him, his smiling
Thank you, Ron.
face.
I see that on the screen.
Thank you, Ron. We'll say thank you to Tara again for the super
Thank
chat.
you, Tara.
And we have Silver Sheepdog. Thank you for the super
Thank
chat.
you.
Let's talk about the BRICS and a gold-backed currency. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I'm hearing more and more people, we got a big BRICS meeting. Now, we just talked about, right? We're somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to recognize these next 2 articles are kind of the extreme, like the dollar is dying type camp. These BRICS, some of the people that are saying, oh, we're definitely going to get a BRICS gold-backed currency. So let's just look at kind of the latest news that we have out there, Chris, in that regard, and then we'll get into some comparison shopping. Where are we? Here we are. Here we go. Whoop. And we are, BRICS. Gold-backed currency to be launched at 2024 summit, ? Okay, so let's see what they have to say. I got this highlighted so we can run through it. The BRICS aim to launch a new currency that will be backed by gold as a counter to the US dollar. A common currency will make the alliance usher into a new financial era and become a cornerstone for further developments. The upcoming summit in 2024, which will be in Russia, by the way, will shed more light on the policies aimed to topple the US dollar. So again, this is kind of the dollar is doomed camp. Reports suggest that the BRICS could back their new currency with gold and not the US dollar or other local currencies. I want to come back. That's a very important point right there. The alliance in orange aims to get back to the gold standard. Gold standard? What? And maintain a multipolar world for all trade and transactions. What's likely at minimum going to happen and this is good for silver and gold investors, right? Because we know they're already acquiring massive amounts of gold and silver, right? We know India imported, probably has imported 15% of the world's silver production already. The world's annual silver production already imported that much this year. but gold as well. But what's likely going to happen, this is, I think, critical for us and for our basement dweller viewers to understand, is as these countries start to trade amongst themselves and trade in their own national currencies, somebody's always going to wind up with a surplus, right? Like let's say the Saudis sell oil to China. That's always the easiest example. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Saudis sell oil to China. So China imports all that oil. China pays the Saudis with Chinese yuan, right? And so the Saudis have the Chinese yuan, and they're like, well, what are we going to do with this, right? There's only so much that we can do with the Chinese yuan. So they buy some products from the Chinese, but they still have some yuan left over, right? And like, well, we don't want to hold this yuan. We may not like dollars, but we like the yuan even less. So what are they going to do? They're going to take that excess Chinese yuan they have. They're going to go to the Shanghai Gold Exchange, which is a physical market, and immediately convert that excess yuan into gold, right? Or maybe even silver, who knows? And that's going to go on and all over between the BRICS countries. That's kind of the middle of the road. But guys, that's good for the value of the precious metals. That is, they call that a trade settlement currency, right? Like if CoinShop Chris and I wanted to trade, let's say I had a nice flat screen TV that he wanted, and he had 10 extra boxes of ding dongs, right? And so I want his ding dongs. He gives me his 10 boxes of ding dongs. I give him my TV. But I'm like, hey, the TV was worth $100 more than the ding dongs. You can either give me paper dollars, or he could give me 3 ounces of silver, and I would take the 3 ounces of silver. Does that make sense, Chris?
That makes absolutely sense. I mean, it happens every day. I mean, if you go on these websites like Facebook, Ron, and people trade stuff every single day, or Craigslist. Some people even trade, goods for goods. It don't have to be money all the time. If the two parties agree, if you agree to trade goods for services, and you accept silver or gold as payment, or you accept a motorcycle for payment, it don't matter. It's between two parties.
Two parties.
I mean, that's the thing we have to look out for. I mean, because I do believe eventually, we will be trading silver and gold for service and goods. It could come sooner than 3 years. It could be 10 years out. Nobody knows.
Yeah. Well, let's look at one more fantastic, and I'll emphasize extreme headline. And this is again on the kind of extreme side. So I'm not saying that this is factual or this is going to happen, but these guys at Telesur say the BRICS announce plans to completely abandon the U.S. dollar. And I guess this is a picture from the recent. There's the Russian guy in the middle. Member of the BRICS community in June of 2024. Again, these big BRICS meetings are coming up, I think, in September in Russia, where some people I've heard a couple what I would call reputable analysts talk about the prospect of a gold-backed trade settlement currency being announced. I'm not saying I don't think it's going to happen. I think it could happen. I'm not making that prediction, but some people are talking about a gold-backed trade settlement currency announcement coming out of this meeting. Hey, with everything going on in the world, who knows, right? It says the new development bank of the Economic Alliance BRICS announced on Wednesday its plans to abandon completely the U.S. dollar in the next 3 years. Okay, this says Malaysia plans to join BRICS. You can't even keep up with. It's unbelievable the number of countries that are interested in joining the BRICS. To that end, the BRICS will contemplate an integration plan with local currencies to be driven by the project of independent payment system that could be presented this year. According to some sources, which they're not naming, Saudi Arabia could also abandon the dollar in the oil trade and liquidation transactions and liquidate transactions in yuan, a measure that would bring huge losses to the currency as China buys more than 20% of the country's oil exports. So Sure feels like the world is changing at a clip like we've never seen before. I don't buy the fact that these people that say, well, the dollar's the king, the dollar's never going to go away, the dollar, I don't buy it. When I look at the transactional, right, like we talked about, the T, right, in the TSF, the transactional evidence that we have right now, the countries are starting to move away from the dollar. When we look at the savings, the store of value component, when we look at that on a large worldwide national basis, countries are definitely selling their treasuries. They don't want to hold the dollar as much as a store of value. I'm not saying 100%, okay, or anything like that, but the trends in both those areas, am I right? I mean, am I crazy, Chris, or is the trend in both those areas
No, the
away from
trend's
the dollar?
moving more up and up and up. And that is the problem that we're seeing. Other countries are getting away from the dollar. They're stacking gold. They're stacking silver, especially India's crazy about silver right now.
Yeah.
And, there is, people, when I say this, people are going to make a comment, say I'm crazy, but that's okay. There is a silver shortage. And what I mean by that, you can go online. There's plenty of silver out there for the consumer right now to buy offline or your coin shops, whatever. Yes, but the supply is getting thin out there. We're still getting it in, but there's products are starting to trickle in are slower than normal.
Yeah.
Like your generic rounds. I mean, they just can't keep up. I mean, the demand is getting a little bit more crazy at times. I mean, it depends what the market is doing. If the silver goes up $1.50, people are rushing to buy. It goes down $1.50, nobody comes in, it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, but that's how it seems to work. People like to buy it when it's moving on up.
The confused silver investor, right? That buys when it goes up and sells when it goes down. But as it really starts to go up, that could lead to some massive waves of buying. I mean, consider this, right? Consider the fact that this world that we live in now with instant communication and, Chris, and the ability to buy silver and gold and platinum instantly, right? Like instantly, like in the next 5 minutes, if you and I wanted to, we could buy a monster box online of silver, right? I mean, it can happen so quickly in this day and age. I don't think that people realize the implications of that. Number one, the communication, right? But number two, the fact that the available supplies can get wiped out in the matter of hours. And we've seen examples of that over the last, 4 or 5 years during the little banking crisis, during the C-19 crisis. You couldn't find silver. You had to wait 5-6 weeks if you were lucky to get it shipped.
If not longer, yes.
Yeah.
In some parts was a little bit longer. Luckily the shop I work for, a lot of shops don't have the financial status to hold a couple $1 million in inventory. They just don't have the finances. Luckily, my owner's been doing this for a long time. He's been doing this since 1982. And he started in a little Allstate, or I think it was Allstate, that he said they gave him a little table and he started selling peace dollars. That's how he got into open his own shop. And gradually, he never advertised, never paid a penny for advertisement on newspapers, TV, whatever. And he grew amazing business. By honesty and getting the word out there. It's the word of mouth spreads the word.
Yeah. Well, and that's how you and I met. You told me a great story back, a year and a half ago when we met about a person who brought a coin in, just looking they just thought it was a normal old 1 ounce gold coin. And you guys were like, that if I remember correctly, you kind of told this person who had no clue, like, that's actually not worth a lot more than just the gold content in that coin, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember you, as we just first met, you telling me that story and how happy you were about the fact that you got to surprise this person and tell them, no, I think gold was like 1900 at the time. That coin's worth like double the amount. I think you guys shipped it off to have it graded, and
we shipped it off to have it graded and came back as a excellent grade, MS68.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing that, what people have and they don't know. And, I do have a channel on, as you know, and, I try to educate people on different coins, and, I go a little bit further down the roads in the weeds with, what's going out there with the prices and stuff on food. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, that's what I like to do on my side of things. But no, I mean, it's people, if you're going to leave your silver or gold after you pass on, make sure you either have a note or you tell them in advance of what you have. Don't let your family members or friends go into a coin shop and say, I don't know what this stuff is worth.
Yeah.
There is a handful of coin shops that are not going to be honest and take advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just don't want that.
Always be
You
careful.
want someone honest. And that's the key to this, because it's, the more honest we can be with people, the word gets out, and that's how we get more business.
Yep. Let's run out the Pimbex real quick, and then we're going to talk about some comparison shopping that Chris did. But I want to say thank you to our channel sponsor. This is not possible, guys, without the support of our sponsors, including Pimbex, Pimbex, Pimbex.com. That's where I buy my silver. And I'm not going to ever tell you what to do, but I would recommend that if you are going to shop around to buy some silver, gold, or platinum online, definitely put Pimbex in the mix and look at what they can do for you. I always find they have a great selection, which is important, right? They have the products that I want. But on top of that, they always seem to have the best prices, and it's a company that I can trust. So I like the fact that I can just go there, know that I'm getting a great price, and know that I'm going to get a package. I got an email. I don't know if I shared it. I think I shared it with the guys at Pimbex. I got an email yesterday from one of the basement dwellers saying he'd just bought some silver from Pimbex, and it took his 6-year-old son an hour and a half to get the package open because it was packaged so well. So
they package very, very, very well. Yes.
You get your own little personal Fort Knox that comes in the mail. So what are you seeing out there, Chris? Like, if we're looking at premiums on silver, I like to tell people that, like, we're really spoiled right now because premiums are still historically, I think, relatively low. We've got the silver price that's gone up, but I think most of us agree that it's still artificially being held down by our friends at the COMEX and the LBMA over in London, England. Have you been looking around at anything? Have you looking at Eagles, or what are you seeing when you look around out there?
Well, when you see our friends at the COMEX and the LBMA, I don't call them my friends, but I call them clowns, Ron. That's what they are. Clowns.
Hold on one second. Susie's talking to me in the walkie-talkie. Breaker, Susie. We didn't catch what you just said.
I'm ready to hear some of those awesome bullion deals.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Chris. Susie's ready to hear about the good deals out there. Go ahead.
Okay, so I checked some websites around for a tube of silver Eagles 2024s, and this is all ACH, meaning taking it right out of your bank account. No credit cards, no nothing.
I hope it's okay, Chris. I put this together. I don't know if you can see it on the screen.
That's fine. Yes, I can see it. Okay. So Money Metals for the tube of silver Eagles was $750.60. Pimbex, as of Friday night, these were all taken Friday night, as there was $700 and $701. Excuse me on that one. Went over ATMEX, $746.60 for the same tube of silver Eagles 2024s. Hero Bullion had them for $702.80. JM Bullion had them for $716.60. So we took the highest price at Money Metals at $760, minus the Pimbex cost at $701, the same as a $49.60, Ron.
Wow. I think you said 760, but you meant to say 750.60 cents. But you're right. Your math is correct. That's almost a $50 savings. And that's what I always tell people. I'm like, I always shop around. I always want to make sure that I'm getting the best prices. But hey, you know what? If I'm going to buy a tube of American Silver Eagles and it's the exact same tube of American Silver Eagles, and I can get it for $50 less at one company over another, which in this case just happens to be Pimbex, I'm going to buy it from Pimbex, and then I can buy I can buy
Ron,
another ounce and a half coin, and when I open my box, get the tube and the extra ounce and the extra half ounce for free, right?
yeah, you can actually buy one extra Eagle from Pinbacks with the same order over money metals and get an extra ounce silver. Or I know you like Taco Bell, Ron.
Right.
And Taco Bell right now has an excellent deal right now, a $7 box. You can take the whole family out, Ron.
Yeah.
And if for $28, you still have the savings over money metals. You can go run to Walmart, Ron, and get yourself 4 jugs of ice cream, the 48 ounces that they have cut down. That's going to cost you $16.92. You can get yourself a box of Keebler ice cream cones, 24 count for $2.96. And you can get a jar of Smucker's hot fudge and have the girls' friends come over after you guys go to Taco Bell, and I'll give all their friends ice cream for less than you can. Thank you, Pimbex.
Yes. Thank you, Pimbex. So for those of you who don't know, Coin Shop Chris has started his own channel, and we're going to head out and take a look at that right now as well. Hold on here.
It's a small channel, Ron, right now. I'm growing.
They all start out small, Chris. Every single one of them start out small. So what I want to ask you guys to do is to go out onto YouTube, and you can just type this in right here, Coin Shop Chris. There's his logo, coins, as you might imagine, and the big coin up here. Subscribe to his channel. Watch some of his videos. He's putting out content, I think, every day. Is that right, Chris?
I try to put out a video every single day and 2 shorts every day. And I also will come on with a short right around the 4 o'clock hour on the East Coast time. And I also give an update on silver, gold, and platinum every single day.
All right. Awesome. Look at these. 1964 Kennedy, 90% silver halves. I mean, I know you dig in because we both know you're an expert in the coin field. You dig into more of the coin related and stacking related, but also some interesting, like general economic news stories as well. So I want everybody to please go out and check out Chris's new channel, if you will.
Thank you for all the support, Ron. Thank you to the ones who have already come over from your channel. You have been a big help, motivator, Ron. No, you've been on my behind for a while to do my own YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'm not a good public speaker, as some of you might know. But I try my best. I do my best. But I got to give you some recognition here too, Ron. When I was, doing videos with you in the past, you called me up one day. I'm sure people will just remember this when the coin shops the banks were getting, the accounts getting shut down because they have a coin shop. And all these other YouTubers blew this up over nothing. And I told Ron, I remember this phone call very directly. I told Ron, I said, we can discuss about this. I don't have a problem, but I think it's going to be a nothing burger. Couple weeks go by, it turns out to be a nothing burger. Thank you, Ron, for not blowing that story up.
Well, I think you got to be careful. And even like today's subject matter is very sensitive, right? We're talking about the US dollar. We're talking about the demise of the dollar, and it's easy. And hey, look, I'm not perfect and I'm not busting anybody's chops. Everybody's free to present things the way they like. But I think to come out and say, oh my gosh, guys, the dollar's doomed. Completely get out of it. Which I personally kind of believe, like, I don't want to have a lot of my money exposed to the US dollar, but you got to be careful how you present things because usually somewhere in the middle lies the truth. Now, when it comes to the situation with the US dollar, I feel confident, right? And it's always just my opinion, right? I always tell people don't make financial decisions based on what I'm saying, but I do feel confident that the real value of the dollar is going down. Okay, got to ring the cowbell. Hold on here. Hey, that's for 200 thumbs up. That's for all the basement dwellers that are joining us today, Chris. We've had almost 500
That's
people
awesome.
on our live stream. Yeah, almost 500 people on our live stream. But I do feel confident saying, yeah, the dollar is I mean, just I won't go back, but the fundamentals behind the dollar aren't good, right? And it's not just you and me talking about it. It's even this guy, right? Let's get him out. What do you say, Chris? It's time for
Oh, please don't bring him out.
daily visit, right? It's even this guy is talking about the fact that, hey, we've got, get his angle. There he is. Him. Yeah, Coin Shop Chris and Gomer Pyle live. I mean, saying that we've got problems. It's also Ray Dalio, right? Bridgewater, one of the most successful hedge fund managers in the world. It's Jeffrey Gundlach, the bond king. And now it's the CEO of BlackRock, the biggest institutional investment firm. I mean, they're all sounding the alarm, right? I mean, our politicians in Washington aren't caring. They're not sounding the alarm, but I do feel confident in saying that the real value of the dollar. I mean, and that's what it's really about, right? The real value of the dollar. Hey, 10 years from now, right? I mean, what is it? A euro, the euro to dollar exchange rate is what, like I don't even look it up, $1.12, whatever, right? Or 1.12. It could be the same thing 10 years from now. The value relative between the dollar and the euro. What we care about is what's $100 bill? How many gallons of gasoline does $100 bill buy you today? Oh, about 30 here in St. Louis. How many gallons of gasoline is $100 bill going to buy you 10 years from now? Maybe 2, right? Who knows, right? Maybe 3, right? That's what we're worried about. That's what we're focused on when we're talking about silver and gold. What about the example I heard? I talked about it last night. Matt Peipenberg from Gold, the guy from Switzerland. I love that guy, smartest guy in the room, right? 100 years ago, you could buy a house. Okay, you could buy a house with 5,000 US dollars. So you got a box with 5,000 $1 bills in it. 100 years ago, you could buy a house, or you could buy a house with 250 1-ounce gold coins, because gold coins were worth about $20 each back then. So you had $20,
yeah, right.
Yeah. So you could either use 5,000 $1 bills, or you could use 250 1-ounce gold coins, right, to buy that house 100 years ago. Fast forward to today, if you take that box, that same box with those same 5,000 $1 bills in it, you can't even get the driveway built, right? You can't even get the basement poured, right? But if you take that same box with those same 250 1-ounce gold coins, it's worth a little bit shy of 600,000 US dollars. You can get yourself, most places in this country, a nice house. You can furnish it, you can get it landscaped, and you can throw a big party for all the basement dwellers at the same time. That's what we're talking about, right?
You hit it right. You hit that right on the nose, Ron.
Well, I stole that from Matt Peipenberg, but I love that guy, and it just the way he described that, it was like I gotta repeat this at least 25 times to all the basement dwellers, because that's why we love silver and gold.
Well, keep repeating it, Ron, because people need to hear things about 25 times for them to get. Most people do, but that is an excellent point, because I used to.
I think we lost Coin Shop Chris audio. Can you hear us, Chris? Hello?
I can hear you.
Okay,
yeah, I can hear you.
Yep, you're back. Go ahead. Sorry, buddy. You're back.
Back in the day, you can buy a men's suit for a $20 gold piece.
Mm-hmm.
Today, that same gold piece, like you were saying about the houses, you can still buy a decent men's suit for about $2,300, and that's what about an ounce of gold cost.
Yeah.
So if you hang on to all those fiat dollars back in the day, you pass them down to generations, that little bit of money that you had back then, $20, it's not quick. It's $20 by today, Ron.
Right.
Even you couldn't even take your family out, Ron, for $20 to talk about, even at a discount rate, Ron.
Yeah. I know. No, it's absolutely crazy. I was talking with a couple guys this morning who have young kids like me, and they're like, even going to McDonald's anymore. I mean, once they get to be 12 years old, I can't fool them with the McChicken, right? Now they want like a McCrispy meal and a McFlurry, and by the time you're done, you're spending $30 on McDonald's. I mean, it's absolutely drives me up a wall. It's like absolutely crazy. In the comment section here, somebody talked about buying silver rounds the other day for $32. I think it's important also for us to realize how lucky we are right now the fact that we can go to our local coin shop, that we can go to Pimbex and buy silver for, number one, it's an artificially low price. Number two, the premiums are low. And number three, if you are joining us in the United States, most of us don't pay any sales tax anymore. I mean, do you think we're lucky to be able to get silver at these prices right now, Chris?
I think, I think it's a steal right now. I think people are going to be caught off guard when silver starts moving upwards around 50 plus, and they're going to wish they got a little bit more today. And I'm not trying to give any financial advice. I'd say this on my channel, Ron. I'll say it on your channel. Stack at your own speed. Don't compare your stack with anybody else's stack. It takes time. We will all get there. Just keep stacking as you can. I always give a little bit, this is really not advice. If you're not using something in your house that you're not used for 5 years and you're never going to use it again, why not throw it online and see what you can get out of it? I mean, that's, and take that money and get your silver and gold that way too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and it's troubling because sometimes when you sell something like that, then the next day after you sold it, you need it. It's a double whammy sometimes there too.
Yeah. But I'm going to encourage people, anyone who has a question right now, put it in the comment section and just put a question mark, which is on my keyboard. Where's the question mark on the keyboard, Chris? How come I can't find it? Oh, lower right corner. Do this here. I'll put an example in there. That way we'll see it. Question, and then put the question mark, and then put the question right after it. And we'll take a couple questions here before we sign off. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What are you seeing happening this week in the silver and gold markets, Chris? Any thoughts on what?
Well, I really seeing right around, maybe silver will gain $1 or $2. I don't think it'll go up that much to $2, maybe $1. Gold, I see maybe a $25 swing up this week, but it's all news. I can say that, and it could be down $25. I mean, who knows? That's a hard question to answer. There's another hard question that I had seen on your channel just the other day is, should I trade gold for silver? Well, it's about your financial well-being at the time. I say if you can afford to buy silver and instead of trading downwards, get silver, or vice versa. Remember, when you trade, most coin shops, especially coin shops, you come and trade gold for silver, you're going to have we buy the gold back.
Uh-oh. We lost your audio there.
Even trade in most times.
Okay.
We have done even trades before when we need that specific item in stock.
Yeah.
So, it's really up to the coin shops, or if you go online to sell, the online boom, there's a process there. I'm not sure how Pimbex works that out when they buy back. I know you got to ship to them. I don't know what people are going to have to call Pimbex to find that out for themselves, because I don't know. I'm not going to say that, but there's always going to be, a trade mostly where you buy it back, you sell it, then you buy your silver. So you're going to take a loss on both ends. Most shops are going to make a win on both sides of the trade. And that's just an honest truth.
So I'm looking right now. I'm going to pull this up. I didn't see any come through here, Chris, but I want to pull this chart up quickly. Hold on here. Here we go, guys. This is the current gold to silver ratio. Looks like it's sitting right around 80. So, when people ask that question, is it smart to convert gold into silver right now? Again, we're going to throw in our disclaimer. We aren't offering financial advice, but in my opinion, when I think about either having one gold coin or 4 tubes of American Silver Eagles, I would take the American Silver Eagles, right? I'm not a gold stacker. I'm a gold mining stock owner and a silver stacker, But if I had some gold coins, I would feel comfortable personally converting some into silver, because I think that is still a really high. I mean, it's come down from being in the 90s not too long ago, but still a very, very high ratio on that gold to silver ratio.
Yeah, that's a good point. But keep in mind, you're going to have to pay a little bit more because you're going to have that trade back and forth between the two buy and sell trades. And some shops don't even do that if they need the inventory for the gold.
Right.
I mean, it's supply and demand. That's what, when we do that, it's supply and demand. Do we have enough in stock? Can we flip it fast? It's like when you buy graded coins, Ron. I'll say this, and then you try to go sell them. Okay, and you have a rare coin. The dealer knows that he or she can sell it, but they might have to wait 6 to 8 months down the road to sell it. So they're going to probably offer you a little bit less. That is a true statement. That is, keep that in mind if people are into the graded coins. I like the graded coins. Some people don't, that's fine too. But, as Lynette Zane says, Ron, if people are worried about confiscation, which I don't think is going to happen, that's my personal opinion. But if you're really thinking that, that's another layer of protection, because that will be classified as a collectible.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I mean, none of this is financial advice, Ron, but I'm just trying to give my tips and hoots about this, and I'll leave it as that.
I think if people want to know where hello, can you hear me, Chris? Oh, we may have lost Chris. I think if you guys want to know, hold on here. Are you there, Chris? Oh boy, we may have lost Coin Shop Chris.
I got you.
Okay. If you want to know if you're a silver and gold investor and you want to know where the price of the metals are going, and we're going to focus in on silver here, look no further than our good friends in the East, Japan. Remember the Japanese from the 80s? We were supposed to be afraid of them. Chris, you were probably too young, but I was 10, 15 years old, and there was all this fur of, the Japanese are taking over the world. They bought Rockefeller Center and blah, blah, blah. Well, the Japanese have been guilty of some of the most egregious financial mismanagement in the world. When you, in a nutshell, guys, when you look at what is going on financially, fiscally, and monetarily. Now, fiscally means how our government is managing the money. Monetarily means how the Federal Reserve is kind of managing the monetary supply, the monetary policy. So when you compare both the fiscal and the monetary policy mismanagement in the United States to Japan, Japan is a little further down the road from us, but we're heading down the same road as our friends in Japan. Okay. And quickly, I'm going to pull up, as you guys know, one of my favorite charts lately, the 30-year silver price history in Japanese yen. And this is what we likely have to look forward to, right? If you see this chart and you see this is silver, not in US dollars, but in Japanese yen, you see that silver has absolutely skyrocketed, far exceeding the high that it hit back in 2011 in Japan in Japanese yen. So this here, guys, is exactly what we have to look forward to. Hey, Chris, I'm going to wrap things up for now. I want to say thank you to all the basement dwellers who joined us today. I want to encourage you one more time, go out and check out Coin Shop Chris's channel. I also want to say thank you again to our sponsors. They make this possible. Pimbex, see the box right there? PIMBEX. Of course, First Mining Gold and Fortuna Silver. You can learn more about both those companies at their respective websites. Have a great day. Chris, thank you for joining us. Any final words you want to leave with our listening audience?
No, I just want to thank you. I want to thank your viewers for the support. Thank you, Ron. You've been a big mentor to me. So, along with your wife, Susie, I can't see the chat, but I know she's watching. So
Yeah, no, you're
So-
you're the best, Chris. You're going to do great. Thanks to everybody. Have a great day. Be nice to yourself, okay? And we will see you soon.